Hello out there, everyone, and welcome to OpenCV Live. We are here on another beautiful Thursday. I'm Phil Nelson, your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson, if you're nasty, but you, my dear friends, as always, can call me Phil. And I'm here with Carla Mendoza of the awesome startup Intuitivo. You may remember them from episode 53 of OpenCV Live, where we talked to their founder, Jose, who actually has a big, deep history with OpenCV. In fact, starting the company after taking some OpenCV courses. It's a great story, and we're really looking forward to see the hard work that they've been doing with a little bit of show and tell here today. But first, I've got a few things I need to remind you about, a couple things we do on every single episode of this show, first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Stay tuned because later on in the show, we will be doing a giveaway to you in the Zoom chat. If you're not in the Zoom chat, if you're watching us somewhere else, Twitch, Twitter, etc., you can get to Zoom by going to opencv.live. That's opencv.live. And then later on in the episode, in about 40 minutes from now, give or take, I will ask a trivia question based on today's presentation. And the first person to answer that will win the OpenCV course of their choosing. OpenCV courses have had some big updates recently, and one of the awesome things about the way that OpenCV does their courses is that when we do updates to these courses to refresh the content, or say there's a new version or some new features in, for example, PyTorch, for example, those courses get updated, and you get those updated courses. You get to keep the updated content and only pay one time. So I think that's a really important point there, that these aren't things that you're just going to buy and they're going to be out of date in a month or something like that. These are things that will stay refreshed, and it's an important point to make. Also, did you know OpenCV is a nonprofit organization? It's true. There are many ways that you can support OpenCV. I'm going to tell you about a few of them right now. One of those ways is by supporting OpenCV with your money. You can go to opencv.org/support and donate via Stripe or PayPal. If you're part of a company, like, say, for example, our guest here is part of Intuitivo. Intuitivo is an OpenCV Bronze member organization, and we really, really appreciate their support. They joined last year as one of our first Bronze organizations, in fact, and we're so happy to have them on board. If your group uses OpenCV a bunch at your job and you want to support it, you can become a Bronze, Silver, or Gold member for $6,000, $30,000, or $100,000 a year. These different tiers come with different levels of perks, and really they're just donations because, again, OpenCV is an open source software library run by a registered nonprofit in the United States. And one of the benefits of that, if you are an individual or a group in the US, is that it's very likely your donation to OpenCV will be tax deductible. So get ahead of next year's taxes and throw us a couple bucks if you got them. Also, you can sponsor us on GitHub. Currently, we have 6 sponsors over there on GitHub. You can go to github.com/sponsors/OpenCV and join these 6 wonderful human beings for just $9 a month. I'm going to mouse over them real quick and give them their 15 seconds of fame. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, YJ. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Blue Jay. Appears to be an actual bird. I love it. Thank you, Ross Newman. And thank you, Rudis Laboratories. I'm thanking you even though it says you're from Dayton, Ohio. That's how much I care about this. I'm willing to thank an Ohioan. You can also go to OpenCV's official merch store, opencv.myspreadshop.com, where you can buy posters, patches, stickers, buttons, tote bags, pet bandanas, sweaters, t-shirts, pretty much anything to put on your body or the bodies of those around you. I would not recommend putting the pins on your dog's body. Please don't do that. You're not Christy Gnome. We've also got a new recent blog post on opencv.org with OpenCV member organization Orbic, where we take a look at the Orbic Gemini 2L camera and compare it to the popular Intel RealSense D455, which has been in use for many years now. And we take a look at some OpenCV code here. We show you what we're using to do these captures, and then we're showing you the direct output of these captures. No processing, no BS. This is just what it looks like directly out of OpenCV. No filters, no nothing. So take a look at that and see just how these cameras stack up to each other. And also, of course, you can scroll down here, see a little bit more information. This is against a flat wall. This is really useful, important information if you're building vision-enabled systems. We go pretty deep here. It's a great blog post. Thanks so much for Jia Wu from the OpenCV China team for writing this. And you can also see down here what the prices are for everything. what you're looking to buy there. Coming up very soon, in fact, this month, you'll have a chance to see both myself and Dr. Satya Malik, and probably even Gary Bradsky, a rare appearance, rarer even than the Sasquatch. Will be at Embedded Vision Summit this year in Santa Clara, California. May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We will have a small booth there. I will have some stickers and buttons for you for free. We'll probably also have some kind of special swag just for the show. We'll have to see how it goes. If you're having trouble finding the OpenCV booth, just look for the guy in the pink jumpsuit. That will be me. Folks always ask when we're doing these shows, how can I find the recording if I can't watch the whole episode? I've got great news for you. You can find it always at youtube.com/@OpenCV official. The official OpenCV YouTube channel is always the place to find the recordings of these episodes. In fact, you can see us right now if you want to. Ain't that something? It's like a Drosta effect. That's about it from me for right now. I think... Thanks so much again for joining us this week. I'm really excited. Carlo, welcome to the show. Please tell the folks who you are and why you're here, and take it away. Take this microphone away from me.
Sure. So thank you very much, Phil, for the invitation. Well, my name is Carla. I am from Peru, and I am part of Intuitivo. I am currently working as a machine learning engineer. Kind of like to let people can get to know me. I actually studied management and international business, and I used to work on that area. But after reading one book, I really like a detective novel, and I read one book that talked about the impact of AI in our everyday life. I decided to switch careers. So I started studying by myself, and then I found an institute in Argentina where I could study data science and AI. So I just quit my job, started studying, and now I'm here like creating new things in the machine learning area.
I love that. I love that you were inspired by fiction to change your career. Did I get that correctly?
Yes, it's just because of that book. I mean,
do you want to name drop the book? What book was it?
It's Origin by Dan Brown.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
That's great. And as a reminder, folks, before we get started here with the presentation proper, we are taking questions from you in the audience. Please use the Zoom Q&A button at the bottom of the screen or the chat system wherever you're watching us. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitch, and of course here on Zoom. Right back to you, Carla.
Sure. So I will share you my screen. Let me know if you can see the presentation.
Looks great.
Okay, perfect. So let's start. So here, let's see the agenda. We will first talk about what Intuitivo does, how we do it, and then we'll move on to the machine learning lifecycle that we have created. And at the last, I will explain the auto-labeling system that we have implemented. And that will be very interesting. So let's start. First, let's start of what's the envision of the future that Intuitivo has. And that vision is an hyper-atomized retail, meaning that the product goes to where the customer is and not the other way around. And then we can ask ourselves, how are we gonna do it? And we could do it just by creating a scalable AI infrastructure with millions of APOPs. And you may wonder, what is an APOP? So I think with this image, you can have an idea. It's what we call an autonomous point of purchase. And how we get there is by getting you can get a cabinet or a cooler, and with an Intuitivo kit, you can transform it to an autonomous point of purchase. Because at the end of the day, what we try to do in Intuitivo is to create a fully automated shopping experience. And how can we do that? Is with these cameras. So as you can see, part of the Intuitivo kit, you get these 3 cameras that are put in different angles of the vending machine, so we can record like every part of the interaction. Another thing that we do is we do have a seamless shopping experience. that it is quite easy. You just go to the APOP, you scan the QR, you just select the payment method and just grab and go. Just get your products. So here an example of how simple transaction is made. As you can see, here are the 3 cameras. We do track the products. We make sure that sensitive information is not shown. So after this, just you can grab as many products as you want. If we are thinking in terms of like in a vending machine, you cannot do this. You could only grab 1 product at a time.
Much slower that way for sure. I noticed the face blocking there is a very important thing to note here. Because you'll probably necessarily, due to crime and things like that, you'll probably, and also inventory counting and things, you'll probably want to hold on to these videos for a while in order to either reprocess them or look back at if something goes wrong. And you want to make sure that you're not capturing any personally identifiable information. And one of the most identifiable pieces of information is your face. And so it's really good that y'all are taking the lead in that, because it also helps with things like, for example, you're in Spain, which means you would be covered by the GDPR compliance, in that country if you want to deploy these things there. And so it's great to see Intuitivo getting out ahead of that sort of privacy stuff. It's very smart.
Yes, we really take that into account into the whole system that we are creating. So part of that system is just one element of the whole infrastructure that we have created. Me as just being part of the AI team, you could see these 6 elements like the second side AI, but we do have another elements or components that we created as part of this big infrastructure, which are the IoT, APIs, the digital wallet, which is the web app that opens once you scan the QR. We also have the operators app for refill purposes, and the inside dashboard where a retailer can see the stocks and the sales, right? So that's very important information that retailers need to see.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of questions here. So, this is a lot of ground to cover, really, for one company. These are really 6 separate sort of things. And so how does Intuitivo, are these all separate teams within the company? Like, do you have a couple of people that kind of work on API stuff and the wallet, or the operators app and the AI part? Or is it very rigid in terms of what people kind of work on day to day? And also, are y'all hiring right now?
Interesting question. So we do have separate teams that are focused on different elements of this infrastructure. But we also, whenever we are doing a specific project, sometimes, like in our case, you can team up some AI members with infra team, and we can create a subgroup for a specific project. So I think we're very flexible, but also have particular spaces for each one to grow, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So one of the components was second side AI, and this is the whole AI system that we have created. Within this system, we use state-of-the-art machine learning and computer vision technologies. As you can see in the right part, we use our human detection, we use our product segmentation and detection, we use tracking. And we also now we are experimenting with different things. One of those is depth estimation that you can see in the right corner. And we do this by taking into account that this is an open domain problem. As you can see in the video here, there's a person like taking out several bottles at the same time. And that's something that cannot happen in a vending machine. And in that case, in our case, when an open is fully open, there are a lot of variables that could happen. So we can program until a certain point, but you will always have things that you are not aware of. And therefore, we do have a human in the loop as part of our AI system. that will confirm the shopping cart that the AI system recommends, and we do have a human in the loop that will confirm that.
Interesting. I'm glad that y'all are at least being honest about the fact that there's a human in the loop, because there's a lot of companies out there that are claiming to be AI, but really it's just, 1,000 Amazon mechanical Turks in a trench coat, and then they kind of lie to your face about it. But I'm glad that Intuitivo is not doing that. um,
Sure.
yeah, we might have some questions about that later, but let's continue.
Sure. I mean, it's a very crucial part of the process when you are charging products to a customer. So we want to make sure that we do not have any errors on that part. But what we are doing from the AI system is to improve the, how could it say, the speed. Like if you would not have AI, this will take a lot of time. But now you have a recommendation. As you can see here in the picture, you get like these AI pins or logos, and that's what the AI recommends. So whenever a reviewer comes in, they already get the recommendation, and this is fast. You can just put, okay, good to go. Let's
Interesting.
go. Yes.
I love
Uh,
that you're also doing some skeletal reconstruction there on the side. That's very cool.
Yes, we do key points. We get the key points from the person. And also I wanted to add that we have also created an end-to-end solution, meaning that have created this life cycle where we automatically gather new data to train model. And here I think we have a graph that will explain it a bit more. So whenever a customer purchase something, we get the videos from the 3 cameras. From there, we just save the extracted frames, and we run it through the auto labeling tool, which is something that I will explain on the next point. And after passing through the auto labeling tool, we get to pass it through the annotation partner, train a model, deploy a model, and it will go on like that. So we make sure that we take advantage of all the information that we currently have to create new models and keep on going like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Can we go back to that previous slide for just a moment there? We had a couple of questions in over on LinkedIn about the ML side of things. How much can you tell us about like what is happening on the back end in terms of like, you don't have to get too specific, of course. There's certain, you keep your secrets if you like, but like what kind of software, like what kind of data center stuff are you using? Because this is a lot of data, and I think as most people know that are watching the show, training models and augmenting the data sets of models is a pretty compute heavy process, and in order to know that you're saving processing costs, 70%, you need to have done it some inefficient ways to begin with. And so I'm interested if you have any insights into like what are some of the things that maybe Intuitivo has learned, some of the tricks of the trade, so to speak, without getting too specific. Do you have anything in mind about any stories about infrastructure or things like that?
Let me think. I think that from our point of view, creating this life cycle was very important because it wasn't done at the beginning of it, right? So we were like making transactions, but we were not like saving these possible annotations to recreate a new model. So I think it's important to make sure that in every step we take advantage of everything we have. Also, like you can create, for example, default models that could help you run some tests. For us, that's also very important. Also, I would recommend to create, make sure that you run some experiments and take notes of everyone, because once you grow, it will get very messy. So for me, it would be kind of like what I would recommend.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Do a quick shout out to Alyssa Townsley, who's watching from Niles, Michigan. A big fan of Alyssa's bar. If you're ever in Niles, Michigan, please stop by the Niles Brewing Company. Go ahead, Carla.
Okay, let's go. As I was saying, as part of our life cycle, we do get to process a lot of images a day. And it is around 2.5 million of images a day, and it's quite a lot. So the main question would be, how do we auto-label all these images so that we can later use it for training, right? And are not just sitting on it. So we're not just sitting on it. And we do it through knowledge distillation. And
It's you said briefly on that previous slide, 2.5 million images a day currently. Is that what they said?
that's kind of the frames that we are running per day.
And that's just with the current install base. Do you have any sense of like how many images per day does it add to your system each time you deploy one of these systems?
I'm not sure. I
No,
don't know how number at the moment, no. But
stumped
I
you.
do, yeah, but I do got that 2.5 millions around a day.
Okay, that's a ton of images.
It is a ton of images. So how are we auto label it, right? And that's the biggest question. And what we did is to try to find a way that we can transfer knowledge from a big but smart but slow model to a fast and low model. In here in the presentation, you can see that the teacher model and the student model. So here in the next I will walk you through how is the whole process. So we do foundation models. And the question would be, what is a foundation model? It's a model that was trained on a big quantity of images and can be fine-tuned with a prompt, right? Now we're using prompts for everything. And for SAM, which is a foundational model that we use, for SAM, you can get a text prompt, bounding box prompt, and a point-based prompt. So what you do is you get all of these images, and then you pass it through SAM with a specific prompt. In our case, it could be like a bottle with a hand, right? But let's say that you are, I don't know, trying to find people that are sitting on a chair, right? So that's an advantage that working with prompts give you. So you run it through SAM, you get pre-annotations, and these pre-annotations that have been done automatically can be sent to an annotation partner. We do send it with an annotation partner, and then our annotators, whenever they come in to the platform, they already get the bounding box and the polygons made. So everything is made. So whenever our annotators come in, they just have to change and update the label because we're working with probably a new SKU, a new label. So the annotators come in, they just update the label, they reduce the time, the process time, and then everything is saved in our database, and we can run a new model. We can train a new model.
Getting that info has to be tough. Like, because companies do experiment with their packaging a lot, and so I could see it being kind of a pain that, maybe one day, do you know of any stories of like, some product showed up one day and it didn't match any of the data in the database? What happens in that case?
So we do run some flags in our system. So whenever the system knows that a transaction has been made with a product that is not part of our trained models, automatically a flag has been raised. So when it comes to the reviewer will see a flag and they will know, okay, AI cannot give me a recommendation because they do not have the model trained, and they will select the final product and it will be saved with a flag. So we know that that image is very important because it has a product that has not been yet trained.
Got it. Makes sense. And it looks like y'all are using, I see the link to the RoboFlow blog there. Are you using RoboFlow's auto distill for this, or is it something of your own design?
We're not using a RoofFlow, it's our own design, but I think that the image was very good because it talks about SAM and it talks about YOLO, which is
Yeah.
another technology that
Big shout
we
out to RoboFlow, another OpenCV member organization. They're a silver member. If you want to try out RoboFlow and support OpenCV at the same time, you can go to roboflow.com/OpenCV and we'll get a little kickback if you sign up for RoboFlow using that URL.
great graphics. So, like to sum it up, what we end up using was this foundation model, SAM, that it is slow and GPU computing intensive, but it has great result, right? So we use that for the auto labeling process, and then we could end up with a custom model, and a custom model that it is smaller, is faster, and cost effective, and that can be run with real processes, right? And with this, by using this whole process, we end up with a labeling process that it is 60 times faster than a traditional QML labeling. So I think this is very important because like anyone that wants to create a custom model could go through these foundation models that are open, and they could use it to create their custom and faster model just by
Yeah, and when
getting
you're
to know
dealing
what's
with that 2.5 million images per day, you need that speed.
exactly. Yeah. So that's everything. I hope that it might be helpful for someone that wants to create a new model and does not have time to label all day, all the week for 1 month. So
Yeah.
very much.
We've got a bunch of questions for you here from the audience today. We'll do some questions here, and then we'll do our giveaway, and then go back to some more questions. Please, folks, we've got plenty of time for questions here today on this episode. So go ahead and ask those wherever you're watching: Zoom, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, etc., etc. We're going to ask some questions in about 10 minutes. We'll do our giveaway. So, Carla, you can go ahead and unshare your screen here, and
Sure.
we can just talk directly to the people out there, as the late great Satoru Iwata would have said. So yeah, here in Zoom, we've got a couple of questions. Awab Jonas would like to know how exactly how, like, can you give us a little bit more detail on how customers are charged for products when they use one of these APOPs?
Okay, so the customer are charged after the door is closed. So it's not immediately, because the video have to be uploaded to the cloud, and there it will go through the AI system, and it will be charged then. So we will send the customer a mail with the final product that was charged. But since the process is quite easy to just open, grab, and you just can go, and you can be sure that the final response is 100% sure, because we do have a human in the loop.
Yeah, you got to make sure the count matches.
And we do not want to charge extra for anything.
Right, or not enough. It can go wrong in both ways. That totally makes sense. We've got a couple more questions here on Zoom before I'll move on to the other systems. How much, Mayor would like to know here on Zoom, how much of the Intuitivo system, like the AI inference, is all of that running on the edge, and then you just use the cloud for kind of separate post-processing? Or like how much of this is running on the edge versus is running on the cloud?
So everything is running on the cloud, and the main reason because it's scalable, and therefore we run everything on the cloud.
And we've got some more questions. Several people were wondering about the cameras. What cameras are being used in this? I know we notice it's very wide angle. Necessarily so because of just where they have to be in order to see it. It needs to be a very wide field of view. But can you tell us what type of cameras these are? Are they, like HD, HDR? Like, are they, what are they? OmniView? Like, what kind of camera are they?
Actually, I cannot remember the type of the camera right now, but they do have different angles and type of view, definitely. So I will owe you that answer.
Okay, I'm going to get you in trouble. Your hardware partner is going to be like, "What the hell?" I hope not. I hope not. We got a couple more questions. Mayor also would like to know what do you know what kind of image resolution is being used when you're running inference on these things? Are you saving and then processing full HD images? Are they being downscaled before inference is run on them? How exactly does that work?
It has not been downscaled. It's around 1,200 frames with 800 of width. So it's default. We use the default.
So like 720p basically, or well, not 720p, but yeah, something like that, but with a wider field of view. How many frames per second do you know? Are these like 60, 120, 30? It seems like you'd want it to be pretty high FPS in order to make sure, because people can grab stuff pretty quick, right?
Yeah, around 60 frames per second. I mean, the more frames, the better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So a great question here from Daniel in the Zoom chat. How many camera configurations did Intuitivo go through before you settled on the current configuration? Because looking at like a retail fridge like that, there's basically an infinite number of ways you could put the cameras in. Like you could anywhere along the perimeter, on the top, on the bottom, on the sides, on the inside, on the door. There's a million ways to do it, and it seems like Intuitivo has really zoned in on this particular config. How long did that take, and do you know how many kind of different configs of cameras, different numbers of cameras, different positions were tried before y'all landed on this one?
Yes, I mean, it's been like, I think 3 years. So I guess a lot of configurations were made. So it's impossible to count them. But let's say, like, for example, at one point we tried out cameras inside. Not possible, impossible. And
Can
then
you talk a little bit about why that was not possible, or why that cameras inside didn't work? Is it like temperature? Because I mean, there could be condensation, like there could be all sorts of things I can imagine.
as you said that, and also the what part of the fridge you can see, like, and sometimes like a product is higher and it will block the whole vision because another product is little. I don't know if you can kind of like
Yeah,
imagine that.
you can't see behind something. It's not an X-ray camera. Like, yeah.
Um, and then we decided, okay, cameras need to go outside, and then just tried out different configurations. Our firmware team was working a lot with that, but I mean, it took like a lot of years to try it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure that there's some stories to tell from the engineering side on things that you know uh, if someone was really sure would work and then just completely failed. We'll talk about some of those on a future episode, maybe. Over on LinkedIn, we've got a question from a community member. Uh, what about in cases where like the customer wants to return something? Is it possible to return something from this system at all? Or maybe they got a product that was like somehow damaged, but they didn't notice at the time. Like there's lots of reasons why that might happen. Maybe they accidentally grabbed diet, which is an offense punishable by death in certain parts of America.
I mean, once the door is open, you can take a product, and if you got confused, you just can return it. There is no issue.
What if you've already paid and left? Can you come back? Like, would you maybe have to talk to somebody is there any way to get your money back if like the day afterwards you realize you made a mistake?
Yes, we do have a service, an internal service that you can talk to, and we'll gladly make sure that everything works fine.
Yeah,
So,
of course. Nobody wants unhappy customers. It's a
for
bad way to make
that.
money, folks. Yeah. Got a couple more questions about cameras. People are really interested in the config and how this works, which makes sense because hey, we're OpenCV. Another question here. I noticed, so one of the feeds there, it looked like there was like a heat map Is that what that was?
Yeah,
Where there was like a fourth view?
that's something that we're currently experimenting on, but
Mm.
it's not.
So you can kind of see like where people are grabbing the most, or like what has the most traffic with human like body parts and things. That's pretty interesting. Um, Awab, Jonas again would like to know: have you considered using thermal cameras? Have you all tried using thermal cameras for some of these installations?
Uh, for the moment, we haven't tried it out and put it as part of our whole system. But the thing about these thermal cameras is that it will require adjusting.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's something that much scalable, right? So we need to think about like how to put a pop in every corner. So the less configurations we need to pick it out, the better.
Hmm. And Daniel here in chat mentions also it's very difficult to find high FPS thermal cameras. Like they can't update that quickly because like yeah, it's a thing. Thank you for that. Can you talk a little bit about so how long have you been working with Intuitivo, Carla?
For around 3 years.
Okay. Do you have any people always ask this, and it's one of my favorite questions to ask. Do you have any tales of absolute failure? Like do you have any stories from just something went about as bad as it can go? Like, maybe a demo went really badly, or you had some kind of catastrophic hardware failure. You got any fun stories like that?
Yes, I think like, for example, when we are testing, we were first testing the fully automated shopping experience. Like sometimes it goes wrong. There's something that goes wrong, but the good side of it is that you know that it is true. It's not pre-recorded. So if for some reason something went wrong at one moment, like we just laugh and say, okay, you know that this is real. This is not like a pre-recorder. This is real. So try to laugh it out.
I mean, that's a good way to try to do it for sure. Some failures are easier than other to laugh off. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, a lot of people have been asking about occlusion. Like we mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that you had issues with trying to put cameras inside these units is occlusion, things being in front of or behind other things. And uh, how exactly are you able to? It seems almost like magical because that you're able to identify some of these products just because people's hands are covering most of the label when they kind of pull them out of there. Is there any sort of secret sauce there that you can talk a little bit about, or interesting interesting methods that may have unlocked the ability to do this well, or is it just a really well trained model that knows what the labels look like all the way around?
So for us, is the three cameras. Is to having like a voting system. So maybe you can get occlusion for one camera, but you have already two other cameras with more vision. So having this voting system will give you more opportunity to always see the product. And also, whenever we pick the products that can be part of the iPods, we cannot get like a candy, small candy, right? Just like that kind of rule.
That
But
makes sense. I mean, yeah, like I'm thinking about like some like Tic Tacs or like an individual candy bar might be a little bit too
yeah.
small. Like on the video feed that would be like 4 pixels. Like it'd be very difficult. Yeah. So speaking of the cameras here again, so you talked about how everything has to go up to the cloud. That to me implies quite a few problems that would have to be solved. One of which is latency. What kind of latency do you see between like how long does it take to on average upload a purchase session to the cloud and then process it fully? Do you have any kind of idea what the round trip time for that would be? Is it like 60 seconds? Is it 5 minutes? How does that work?
I mean, after the consumer closes the door, they just can go home, and during that process, at least what I can confirm is that the AI system will take around 2 minutes, 2 minutes to process and to make a recommendation of the shopping cart. and then it will just go through a person, and it will return you the final ticket.
Okay. And another problem from that sort of presents itself to my mind is, what do you do with, like, what's the data uplink here? Are you putting like SIM cards in here? Are they cellular? Are they hooked up to like a phone line? Like what's the, like, how are you getting data from these autonomous retail systems up to the cloud? Is it a problem you have to solve for each one of these, or do you have like a standard way that you do it?
So the Intuitivo kit comes with the 3 cameras, the log that you can see, and we also have like a small CPU that is connected to Wi-Fi.
And what is it, like a Raspberry Pi? Is it like a Jetson? Like what kind, do you know what kind of hardware that is?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure that it's not a Jetson.
Just
It's
because
not.
they're too expensive? Well,
Low cost and scalable, two things that I
that's,
will try
hey,
to.
you're nothing if not consistent. I love it. So yeah, we'll find out about the processor. I think people are going to be really interested in that. We'll probably get some emails about it. As a reminder, folks, if you got a question today and we don't get to it during the show, you can email us your questions and we'll do our best to answer them. You can send them to newsletter@opencv.org if you have questions, comments, concerns, etc. And we will do our absolute best to make sure that we answer those and get back to you in a timely fashion. My guess is that it's probably some kind of Raspberry Pi, for what it's worth. I put a couple bucks on it. Yes. So I'm reading a little bit, a couple more questions here. Another great question from Daniel here in the Zoom chat. How do you handle software updates? Are these over the air? Does somebody have to physically go to the machine to make sure that everything's okay? How do you deliver software updates for the Intuitivo kit?
So it is automatically done. So we do not require like for someone to be there whenever an update is done. So you can do it remotely.
So it's just like there's some shell script just running, like checking for software updates every evening. I assume you want to configure it to not, like, you don't want it to be updating during business hours, probably, because somebody might be there trying to buy something. But if there's a software update, you might want to do that before they buy something, because there may be issues before. Do you have any thoughts on like how that works? Is there a process? Is it set to do it at like 1 a.m. local time or something like this?
I'm not sure. I wish there was someone from that team that could give me that information, but I do not have it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out eventually, I'm sure. Yes. Looking at more questions here. We've got a few over on the LinkedIn side. Somebody else again asking where people can find recordings of this episode. You'll be able to find the recording of this episode on the OpenCV YouTube channel, youtube.com/@OpenCVOfficial. That's OpenCV Official on YouTube. This episode will be on there like almost every episode. We're over halfway done of one of my long-running projects, which is moving all 100 and some episodes of OpenCV live to the new YouTube channel. We're up to episode 65, I think. So I've got 65 more episodes to bring over, and then we'll finally be all the way over there. Quick little inside baseball here, again on the show, is that OpenCV's YouTube channel now has over 39,000 subscribers. Super exciting number to log in and see. So thanks so much, everybody, for your support. We really noticed the numbers on these live streams a lot higher on YouTube as well as those. It's not quite as big as LinkedIn or Zoom, but it's definitely getting up there. So thanks so much, everybody, for your subscriptions and upvotes and shares and stuff on YouTube. Really, really, really appreciate it. Over there, people are. So we've got a question about power usage. Do you have any idea or any kind of ballpark of what kind of power does it take to run the whole APOP system, not including the fridge? So like the smart components of the device. Do you know?
No, I wouldn't know, but what we do is that most of the APOPs are on places that can run any problem with electricity. So we will not have any problem with that.
And we've got another question here about internet connections. Christian here on Zoom would like to know, is there any special way to, like, they're interested in failure states here on the channel, and would like to know what happens if there's a bad internet connectivity. Like, what if it's different, like there's some kind of downtime, or it's not possible to upload a video after the person opens the door? Like, what happens there? If the network goes down, does the door kind of lock itself? How does that work?
Yes, we do take into account this possible failures. So yes, if there are any issues, it's locked down, and we do run some flags, and someone in Intuitivo get to know that APOP has an error, and in that case, like someone will go through to that APOP to fix it and review it.
Yeah, and a couple people have asked this, but I didn't know if you really wanted to say. But could you give us a ballpark of how many of these systems are out in the world right now?
Right now, we have around 200 APOPs.
Wow.
Around 4 countries.
How many countries?
4 countries, mainly in
Wow.
USA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a spicy number. Like, once you're getting into the hundreds, there's no turning back. Yeah, super impressive. That's most of the questions we got here. So I'm going to go ahead and do our trivia giveaway here. So folks, if you need a reminder, or you're joining us for the first time, one of the things we do on this show is give away something to you in the audience. Today, we're going to give away an OpenCV course. You can see what OpenCV courses are available by going to opencv.org/university. OpenCV University is the home of OpenCV courses. And today's guest, Carlo, works for a company, Intuitivo, whose founder is a proud graduate of OpenCV courses. So go check them out. Even if you don't win today's trivia, maybe invest in an OpenCV course, upskill, get a new job, get paid more at your current job. It's a smart thing to do. These courses are really high quality, built by people in the profession. These are not just some random influencers on YouTube who have never had a job in computer vision or AI. These are people who do this stuff as their career. So go check it out, opencv.org/university. I am going to ask one trivia question here. And the first person to answer that question correctly here on the Zoom chat will win the OpenCV course of their choosing. If you have won in the last couple of months, please do not answer and give someone else a chance to win. So we've talked a lot about technology and retail here today. Specifically, the APOP system created by Intuitivo. How many cameras, audience, are on that system? Oh, Partha, how did you botch this one? I'm never going to let you live this one down. Partha, our resident trivia shark, said 2. The answer we were looking for is 3. There's 3 cameras on this guy. Awab Yunus, Awab was the first one to answer correctly in the chat. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org. I'm going to be replaying this moment in my mind forever, the day that I finally defeated Partha. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in the trivia. This was a quick one. I knew y'all were going to get it, but yeah, we really do appreciate it. So yes, please send one email to phil@opencv.org with the course you would like, and congrats on winning this week's trivia. Carla, if folks want to follow you online and see what you're up to and keep track of Intuitivo, where's the best places for them to do that?
Well, in case of me, you can find me on LinkedIn for Carla Virhuez Mendoza, and for Intuitivo, just go to intuitivo.com and you can find more information about us.
Excellent. Do you have any like hints or teases about some upcoming stuff from Intuitivo? Like, what's is there anything exciting coming up in the near future for y'all?
Yes. So in the near future, we are reviewing some clustering systems so that we can improve the annotation process. So we have a lot of images, right? So maybe you can cluster it and find a way to annotate a bunch of images and not just one by one. So that's one part of what we will be doing in the future. And another thing is like to try to to make sure to get all the three cameras information into one space. So that's another project that we'll be working on in the future.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And I can imagine there's you know, there's probably always a little bit of experimentation going on with something like this because there's just new stuff coming out all the time. There's new cameras, there's new CPUs and GPUs, and honestly, there's probably even new coolers coming out that have different different kind of stuff going on. I mean, it doesn't seem like that industry is moving too quickly, but who knows? I may be wrong. Daniel has another question here in chat, which I thought was really interesting. So we saw the number 2.5 million images a day. About how many purchases per day? Can you ballpark that for us?
Thousands. I could just say thousands, and also there are three cameras per
thousands. Okay, thousands. That's great. Yeah, maybe we'll I know Alyssa from Niles Brewing Company is watching back home. Maybe we'll get one of these set up in the brew co. Who knows? Yeah, that's about it for today, folks. So please, take care of yourselves out there, everybody. Take care of somebody else if you can. It's a tough world out there. Please, if you're in the Bay Area, join OpenCV at the Embedded Vision Summit this month, May 21st, 22nd, 23rd, down at the San Jose Convention Center the Santa Clara Convention Center, excuse me, in Santa Clara, California, a stone's throw away from Levi's Stadium here in the Bay Area. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks especially to our illustrious guest, Carla. We'll definitely have to have you back sometime in the future. And thanks most importantly of all to you in the audience for watching this show. We wouldn't do it if you wouldn't watch it. And so thank you for giving me something to do every Thursday morning and the excuse to talk with these awesome people. We really do appreciate it. We will see you next week. Our guests will be our friends from 7 Cents returning with a big announcement. Ooh. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be.